So I am a recent user of Adobe Creative Cloud. It's one of my favorite softwares ever. There's so much stuff for every purpose. You got Illustrator and Animate and Photoshop for drawing. There's, the Premiere Pro for editing. You got all this stuff, Dreamweaver for coding websites, Spark Post for making you can have anything you ever want in Adobe Creative Cloud, and I think it's absolutely amazing and so user friendly. But every single time, since I'm a new user basically, every single time I use Premiere Pro, as that's my favorite app, I always don't know how to do the exact thing, but I know that Premiere Pro has the power to do that. And when I go on YouTube to search up a tutorial, I can never find something simple enough. And that's why today I'm going to make a video that literally will cut straight to the point. So first of all, I want to show you how to make cinematic shots look really good in Premiere Pro and how to blur out backgrounds, because that's basically the most important part of that. So first I want to go in a car and show you my first example. So I want to go to a car so I can show you my first oh my god, it's soaking wet, give me a second. So I want to go to a car so I can show you my first example of how to make cinematic shots look good. I'm so sorry about this awful rain noise, but let's go into a car, and I really want to show you this, because this is how I always do it, and I'm pretty sure it's going to help, because all the tutorials I can find are 8-minute long videos on how to do this, and it's frankly quite annoying, because you don't want to watch that long of a video. Alright, well, this car's locked, so I'm gonna open it, but I'm not gonna show it. It's gonna take too long. Oh my god, this is a nightmare. I'll see you in a minute. Oh my god. So now that the car is actually open, I want to talk to you about the first example of a cinematic shot looking okay. For whatever reason, I absolutely love starting my videos with a catchy song in the background or some sort of beat tune, and with some cinematic shots of whatever I'm doing. I don't know why. I always do that. It's just a lot of fun, and it makes my videos look so much better in the beginning. And you probably haven't seen them on my YouTube channel because I haven't released the videos yet, but I might sometime. But anyway, I love doing that, and I want to show you guys how you can too. So I'm obviously using just an iPhone, but there is a way to make it look super good. So let's start off with the steering wheel. So this is my first example, because when you're looking at an object with your phone, there is a way to make it look super cinematic and really, really cool. So as you can see on the corner of my screen, you can see 4K 60. Yours might be on HD 30, HD 24, HD 60, but you must switch it to 4K 30 for the video. So once it's on 4K 30, that is what you want. Now the reason you're going to want to switch to 4K 30 is because if you have 4K 60 frames per second, it's going to look a lot smoother. But to make something look cinematic, you're going to want to slow it down a little bit, make a speed ramp. And I'm going to show you how to do that. But first, you need to have 4K 30 frames per second so that when it's slowed down, it will look a lot better. It's weird, trust me though. So for the first example, just focusing on an object like this. So let's say the car is moving and you want to focus on the steering wheel and get a really nice clean shot. Well, the first thing you're going to want to do is get a very stable shot of this object. So I'm looking at this steering wheel and I want to get my phone really stable. I'm putting my elbow on this for support, but make sure your phone is as stable as it can be. And give yourself a little bit of a pan. This will come in later with the 4K 30 frames per second, because if you want to make a good pan, you're going to want it to be 30 frames per second. So let me show you this. This is the footage I'm going to film for you, just a before footage. It'll look really cool. So this is what it's going to look like before. So as you can see, I have my elbow down for rest, but when I start the video, I'm going with a simple pan, medium speed, keep it kind of slow, just make sure it's stable, but I'm going up, and then I'm going to come back down, and this will look really cool with a speed ramp, trust me. And that we're going to do that later in Premiere Pro. But yeah, that's my pan. So there you go. That's going to be my footage. It's just a slight pan and focusing on an object. And trust me, if your phone has a little bit of a shakiness to it, if you don't have a gimbal, like if you're just using your phone to film an object and it's not as stable as you want it to be, a little bit shaky, we can fix that, and that applies to this video. So that's going to be perfect. That's my footage. And this is just the plain out footage. I just want to show you an example, because then we're going to compare it to the after. And now I want to show you how you can make that plain, bland footage cinematic. Let's start in Premiere Pro. So the two things you're going to want to have open are just Premiere Pro and Files, wherever your video is. So I'm going to go over to Files. That's my file that I imported, the video. And I'm going to create a new project and probably call it something like Footage Cinematic. When I'm done naming it, I'm going to create a new project and open up my windows, just like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag over Premiere Pro to Files and click on the video I imported and actually drag it into the media section of my Premiere Pro workspace. just going to drag it in there, and then eventually I'm going to double click on it so it shows up in that little media section, and then we're going to trim it from start to finish. So by double clicking, it'll show up in your little corner, and what you're going to want to do is by pressing I, you're going to show up where you want it to start, and by pressing O, you're going to find where you want it to end. So I'm going to go through here, and my pan starts right about here. That's where my pan starts. So what I'm going to want to do is when my pan starts, where I want my video to start, I want to press I. That's where it's going to start, and it's going to create that little gray line. So that's what your video is going to consist of, and when you get to the end of your pan or whatever your video is, you're going to want to press O to tell your computer that's where you want that clip to end. I just want the video because the audio doesn't really matter. I mean, probably you're going to add like music in the end, so I'm just going to click this little icon, drag video only, and drag it into my sequence to create a timeline. So now I have my clip, and this is just my finished pan. This is what the video is going to look like, and it's a little choppy because I actually have it on full quality, and it's going to be a little bit choppy because it can't really show all of the quality you have. Next, you're going to want to open Windows and find Effects. And then you're going to search up Gaussian Blur. That's the blur effect that you're going to want in the end. You're going to click on that and actually drag it onto the clip in your timeline. And as you can see, it actually didn't do anything to it yet. You're going to add that soon. But yeah, if I drag through it, there's no blur yet. It's going to be added in Effect Controls, which you're going to want to open at the top. So next, you're going to see there's a whole thing for Gaussian Blur, and you're going to want to find the center of your clip where you can see the full object you're focusing on. And then you're going to tap that little pen tool and actually trace it out. And there you go. When you're just about finishing, you're going to want to connect it to the other end. And then we're actually going to go down to Effect Controls where you can see that little part that says blurriness. You're going to have to scroll down, and you're going to want to drag to the right to increase how much blurriness you're going to want. And I usually like to go from 30 to 40 to 50, somewhere in that range depending on how much blur you want. But if I go around 40, it's going to be really subtle. Now, as you can see, the steering wheel is the thing blurred because that's inside of your mask. But you're going to want to press inverted, and it'll do the background. Next, you're going to want to feather it because that'll make it not as choppy from clear to blurry. So when you feather it, it'll kind of blend in more. And I like to go around 38 to 40, something like that. Now, as you can see my clip here, it's very not blurry, which is really good. It's like the steering wheel is super clear and everything just looks great. I really love it. That's what you're going to want. So what you're going to notice is that the steering wheel isn't actually tracked on blurriness. So what you're going to want to do is go up where you see that play button and the backwards play button and press the backwards one because that'll track everything before where you put the mask. So we're going to press that, and that's going to take a little bit to load, but it'll look really cool in the end, so it's worth it. Maybe it takes a couple minutes, but yeah. So basically what this is going to do is it's going to track the mask that you put from everything before the center. And then what we're going to do is press the front-facing play button, and that'll track everything in front of that. So it's a process, because you have to go in the center where the object actually is, and then go backwards and then forwards. It'll work in the end, trust me. So now, as you can see, everything before that mask is tracked, and now what we're going to have to do is go after that mask. So everything in front of that mask needs to be tracked, and by doing that, we are going to have to press the front-facing play button. Once again, this is going to take a little bit of time to load, but it's fine. And there you go. Now, everything in front and behind that mask is tracked. And basically, the blurriness behind the steering wheel will follow the object as you move that pan. The next thing you're going to want to do is actually make a speed ramp, which will look really cool in the finished product. So by doing that, you're going to go to that little timeline section where your video is in and enlarging it by seeing a little icon at the top of the line and moving it up. There you go. Now you have a lot of space to see, and what you're going to want to do is right-click that FX button on the top and look for time remapping and press speed. Now this will basically show the speed of the entire thing, and where you want your speed ramp to start, you're going to hold down the command key on Mac and control on Windows. So I'm pressing here because this is where I want my speed ramp to start. This is where I want it to slow down or speed up. So I'm going to look forward, and yeah, right about here. That's where I want it to start. So right in front of that little thing, you're going to want to press that with command or control, whatever computer you're using, and that's where your speed ramp starts. So by dragging it down, I want it to go slower, so I'm going to drag it down. If you want it to go faster, you're going to drag it up, and this is where you're going to want to find where you want it to end. But just before that, you're going to want to tap that little gray thing where you started your speed ramp and drag it to the right. This will make it as like a little bit smoother, and then you're going to see this little blue thing, and you're going to drag that to the left to make it a curve, so it'll just look smooth in the final product. You can see me doing it right now, yeah. Now, you're going to find where you want it to end. So I'm looking through here, and I want to see where does my speed ramp, where's it going to end? Where do I want that slowness to stop? And I'm going to press here and then drag everything after that up. Now to do the same thing, you're going to want to grab that little gray thing and drag it to the right. That'll make a little bit of a slant. And then you're going to do the same thing with the blue, except turn it right this time, and that's going to make a curve. So now you have a speed ramp, a really smooth one where it's going normal speed, and then it's going to slow down, and then back to normal speed. Now let's say I wanted to go a little bit faster right after that slow curve. I think that'll look really cool, so I'm going to hold down Command again because I'm using Mac, and this time drag it up. And now you're going to want to do that same thing with the curves, but first I'm going to find where I want it to end. And I'll just speed this up because you already saw me do this. I'm just going to drag it back down to 100% because that's normal speed. And once again, do the same thing with curves just to make it smooth. Now, just because I'm trying to save space, I might just do a slant. It'll look pretty good. I mean, curve is going to be better, but just because I don't have much space here, I'll just do a slant. And that is the finished speed ramps. So the last thing I want to cover is if you think your camera was too shaky when you were filming this pan, there is a way to fix that. However, we put time remapping on it, which enhanced the speed and speed ramps and stuff, and you can't actually have stabilizer and time remapping on the same clip. So watch this. If I put warp stabilizer on, it says warp stabilizer and time remapping can't be used on the same clip. So there's a pretty long process to fix this, but I can make it simple for you. So what you're going to want to do is actually go to the top where it says Premiere Pro, and right next to that press File, and then you're going to look down to the bottom and press Export. And then you're going to press Media at the very top, and then a little pop-up should show up. And all that you really need to know is that the format at the very top should say H.264. That basically means MP4, and it's the best you'll be able to do. So yeah, make sure it's that. Also make sure it says match source high bitrate. And the last thing you're going to want to do is, make sure you can use maximum render quality. And finally, you might want to change the name because it's going to be some random numbers. So you can figure out where you want to save it. And I'm just going to call it Footage Cinematic Stabilizer because that's basically what we need to do. And while this is going to load while we're exporting, I want to explain to you why we have to do this. So we can't put time remapping and this effect on the same clip. So if we save the clip as a clip without those effects, if we just use it as a video and put it into a new Premiere Pro project, it won't know it has effects on it because it's already been through Premiere Pro. So if we put this warp stabilizer effect on it, it'll just put it on a random clip that has had effects on it in the past. So that's what we're going to do. And while this exports, right after that, we're going to have to create a new project. And there we go. Now that that's done, we have this as a clip in your file somewhere. So what you're going to want to do is press New Project. And I'm just going to name it, obviously, Footage Cinema Stabilizer again. And this is what I'm going to have, right? This is your new project that you're going to use that video from the past in. Now, when you have that project open, you're going to want to go to Files again and get that clip that you just saved. So yeah, mine was called Footage Cinematic once again, and I'm going to drag that into Media, and then drag that into the timeline to create a sequence once again. So as I said, this video is just recognized as a video that went through Premiere Pro. It doesn't have any effects on it. It previously did, but we saved it as a video. So now we're going to go to Effects, search up Warp Stabilizer, and actually drag it onto the clip. Now it's going to say analyzing in background, and since this is measured in frames, this clip I have is 457 frames, and it goes frame by frame, and this might take up to 10 minutes, as mine says. It's about to take 10 minutes, so I will see you then. 453, 454, 455, 456, 457. It is done. It is stabilizing. Finally, we get to see the smoothness that it will meet if your camera was shaky. And this helps. This is really powerful. It's a really cool thing Premiere Pro can do. And as you see, if I come over here and then I go through with my little cursor, you can see how much smoother it is when I start the preview video. It's actually kind of crazy. But yeah, it's done. And watch this. If I just start the preview, look how smooth that is. And that's at normal speed. I mean, isn't that absolutely crazy? Back to you, Video Karsten. Thank you. But anyway, that is the process you're going to need to follow if you want your cinematic footage in the beginning or intro of your video to look absolutely tremendous. So let me show you the video I showed you I was making in the car before, just the bland video, the footage that we made. And there you go. And now let's compare that to the final product, the final thing, the final great video we made. Isn't that amazing? It's just crazy. That's how you can make it look so much better with speed ramps. We got time remapping, speed ramps, blurred background, and we have stabilization. Dude, it looks crazy. I really love it. And keep in mind, if you have a face cam video that's stabilized, as long as it's not a tripod, and you're doing like whatever face cam, you can actually mask yourself with the same process I did for blurring your background and tracking it and feathering it. And if you do that same whole process, it'll look pretty good. I've used it before. So yeah, keep in mind about that. And I'm sorry this video was so long. And I know I said before that you don't want a video that takes so long, but I actually searched up on YouTube, and you can't really find anything like this that isn't like 22 minutes long and has so much unnecessary stuff. So this is probably the cleanest video you're gonna find that cuts straight to the point. And I mean, it is a long process. I can't cut it down any shorter. But yeah, I'm sorry for the length. You won't really find anything like this though, and that's why I think it'll help. So I mean, people will say there's videos on just speed ramping that take this long. Speed remapping that takes this long, and then there's videos on blurring backgrounds that take this long. Like, this is the one that has it all combined. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and see you later.